name is Steve. Welcome to my shop and Shark Bits edition number 47. In my Shark Bits videos I share odds and ends. I include viewer mail, new purchases, and just various new tools that have come into the shop. And I have accumulated a number of items that I'd like to share with you. So let's get started. The weekend that I was supposed to have attended the Bar Z Summer Bash this year, the airline changed my flight to a date that was too late to get there on time. So I ended up going out to Pennsylvania instead that weekend. I have a travel trailer out there. I visit there quite frequently. But there was an auction at a local hardware store, and I talked about it in an earlier video. There was a local auction that I attended, and I won some items, and I'm going to share them with you. The first item that I am going to share is a vise. I'll bring the camera around so we can see a little bit better. This is the vise that I featured in my last video. If you watch that, I'll bring you around and get you a little bit closer shot. This is the vise that I won in the auction. I really didn't need it or want it, but the bidding started out so low and it wasn't going anywhere, and I decided I couldn't let it sell for as cheap as it was going to go, so I ended up bidding for it and winning it. And it has got a 6-inch wide jaw, 6.5 inches almost. It's a relatively light duty vise. It's a Craftsman, and it is, as you can see, is made in USA. And the only thing wrong with it was that the crossbar was missing, and that was the subject of my last video, and I'll put a link up on the screen for that. But as I said, it's in very good condition. The jaws are in good condition. So I think I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. I might not even paint it. There's a little bit of rust on the anvil. I'll probably just scuff that off of there. And then I got to decide what I'm going to do with it. Okay, this next item that I purchased at the auction is a 10-inch Delta bandsaw, and according to the information that I got with it, it was built in 1946. It's all cast iron, obviously built in the USA. There's still original tags on it. The owner of this had completely rebuilt it. It's got all new bearings in it. The spindle bearings have been replaced. The guide bearings are all replaced. The only thing that it's missing, I'll bring you in a little closer. It's missing the insert for here, but that'll be easy enough to machine a piece of aluminum to fit in that and put a slice in it. Matter of fact, it looks like the same one that's in my old wood cutting bandsaw. This is a 10-inch saw. I don't need it. My thoughts are to maybe convert it for metal cutting. At a recent farm sale, I picked up some large diameter pulleys, And so this one, although it's got bushings in it and is designed to be an idler pulley, I'm going to take and press the bushings out and modify the hub to mount on this saw, and I think I can get the blade speed down enough without having to jump through hoops in order to use it for metal cutting. So I think that's going to be the plan. Okay, this next couple of items are some purchases from Shars, and this is a 3/4 inch diameter carbide tip cutter, replaceable carbide tips, and I got a set of tips for steel and I got a set of tips for aluminum. So we're going to take that over to the mill and try it out. I just mounted up a piece of 4140 steel that I'm working on squaring up to make a precision tooling block out of. And so let's take a couple of cuts and see what kind of a finish I get on it. I'll put the tips in and we'll meet back over at the mill. Okay, I've got it all set up. I'm running at approximately 1,000 RPM, which is what the calculated speed came out for this 3/4 inch cutter. So let's touch down and see how it works. Since I don't know anything about the way that this is going to cut, I have no experience with it at all. I'm only going to take a 10/1000ths cut to start. More like a 20/1000ths cut now. First cut was dry. It came out pretty good. Feels good. I'm going to put a little oil on it for my next cut. Got a pretty nice cut to it. I'll bring it in a little bit closer, take a look at it. This line appears to be like it's raised, however you can't feel it. It doesn't catch your nail. It's just a difference in the appearance as you go back on the different cuts. But I'm real happy with the way that cut. It was nice and easy. I could go a little slower to get a little bit better finish. However, this is ideal for going onto the surface grinder. It's nice and smooth. It'll only take a few thousandths to clean that up. So overall, I'm pretty happy with that cutter. I'll put the other tips in it at another time and try it out on the aluminum. Okay, my next purchase were some tool holders for my quick change tool post. And Char's had these on sale, and I know I can make them. However, for the price they get for them, it's not worth the time and the material to make your own. And unless I need something special, this is the way to go. So I ended up purchasing 4 additional tool holders for the 12mm or half-inch shank bits. Never have too many tool holders when you're working on a project in the lathe. This past weekend I went to the Threshermen's reunion at the Rough and Tumble Engineers Museum in Kinsers, Pennsylvania, which is in Lancaster County. And they always have a big flea market, which is one of the big reasons that I go there. I was a little disappointed in the flea market this year. There weren't a lot of machinist tools, and the ones that were there, they were asking like new or higher prices for. But I found a few things. I got a couple of buys, and this is one of them. This appears to be a Greenfield tap and die tap handle, and the best that I can tell, it would be a number 6. This has been cleaned up and there are no markings on it anymore. It looks like that might even ground the surface, but in comparing it to the other Greenfield tap and die tap handles, it's virtually identical. I have this one, which is a number 5, and the vendor that I purchased this from had a number 7, which was larger than this. I really didn't need the 7 because I have one of similar size from another manufacturer. Almost went back and got it on the second day, but I decided against it. I just didn't need to spend the money for something that I already had. But it's in pretty nice shape. So this appears to be a number 6. And this will handle, between this and what I've got, I can handle any tap that I'm going to ever run into in my shop. Probably the largest that I'll ever handle would be some of the pipe thread taps, and the large tap handle that I have in an old set that I own will handle them. So I'm going to call it a Greenfield tap and die number 6. I'll put it away. Next thing that I picked up, somebody had laying on their shelf, was a piece of Brown & Sharp tool steel. It's 1/16 of an inch. It was 2 by 18. There's a couple little pieces cut off the end, but there's no rust on it. I just wiped it down. It was dusty and dirty, and I wiped it down. It looks like brand new, and I'm sure that I'll have a use for it at some point. The same vendor also had this 12-inch scale, which will fit. I've got a few extra heads and centering attachments and so on, combination square, and it says it's made in USA. It is not marked with the manufacturer. Matter of fact, that was the first thing that he did, was check to make sure it wasn't a Starrett, because I'm sure the price would have skyrocketed then. But I gave him $5 for the scale and $5 for the piece of steel, so I thought that was a bargain. This next item is something that I had absolutely no use for. It's an 1.5-inch hole saw, and I probably got 2 or 3 of them. However, it's a Starrett, and it came with the arbor, which was worth more than the price, and the guy had these out for $5 a piece. So for $5 I couldn't walk away from it, even just to have a spare arbor. So that, as far as I'm concerned, that was the buy of the day. I'll put that in stock with the rest of my hole saws. This next and my final purchase at the flea market is some 6061 T651 aluminum plate. It's 1 inch thick, and I purchased it from a vendor that I usually get some decent buys from every year. Last year I got a 12-inch long Starrett precision level from him, and this year I got the tap handle was at his table, and then he also had this material, and I decided that it would be a good addition to the shop. You never know when you're going to need to make up another pallet or add this to my inventory. Now this says it's 875 thick. Let's see if the two pieces are the same. Huh. That piece is just under 1 inch. Let's see if this is the same. Yeah, they're just under 1 inch. Maybe it's a metric size. Oh, that might be it there, a metric, maybe 22.225 millimeter. It's not 0.875 thick, that's for sure. But just for giggles, let me get my metric caliper out and measure it with the metric. I've only been away for a few seconds according to the video. However, I've been gone for almost 10 minutes. This is my gripe with digital calipers. When you want to use them in a hurry, the battery's dead. So I had to go find a battery and re-up my digital caliper. So let's take a measure on it now. I'm having a grand old time with batteries. My camera battery just went dead. But there is, got 23.8 millimeters. .937. 15/16 it works out to. So nothing that's written on here is true. Not that it makes any difference. We're going to machine it anyway, but that pretty much wraps up my purchases at the Threshermen's reunion this year. One of the big challenges in any shop, let alone a small shop like mine, is material storage. And I just have reorganized a little bit, and I've got most of my short lengths of material pretty well organized now. This is my steel. It's some 4140. I've got some stress proof in there, a little bit of tool steel other than 4140. I've got some structural pieces, which would be A36, a few pieces of that. The round here is a piece of stainless that I've had for years, and I've used it for several projects. I have no idea what it is, but it's a nice piece of material. Next to that is some brass, and then I get into my aluminum, and most of this is 6061, and the aluminum plate here I think is 2024. I've got some rounds. The lead-in video on this edition of Shark Bits today was a vertical lathe that was recently acquired by the Rough and Tumble Engineers Museum, and it's in their line shaft shop, and the pieces that they were machining on it were actually going to be used on that lathe. I'm going to share a few shots around the shop with you. There's a gear that's being machined on a horizontal milling machine. That will be the back gear in the very lathe that I have the video of. So I hope you enjoy these few parting shots. That's going to wrap up this edition of Shark Bits. Thanks for joining me. I hope you have enjoyed what you've seen, and I will see you in the next video.